Hello,
Hello, my
everyone.
name is Jen Johnson, and my pronouns are she and hers. I am the Director of Orientation, Transition, and Retention. Welcome to today's webinar. As the Orientation Office, we prepare new students and families for the upcoming transition to AU through the coordination of intentional programming. We strive to help every new student connect, belong, and grow. We value human dignity and commit to being empathetic, inclusive, just, and respectful. Our goal is to welcome new Eagles to our community where all individuals about all identities and experiences are understood, appreciated, and fully included. In the chat box is a link for live closed captioning. We'll be recording the session and posting it to our YouTube channel about 48 hours after the session has ended. You may use the question box feature to ask presenters questions that may be answered live during this session and will be recorded for follow-up as needed. A quick reminder, we have a new webinar next week on July 21st. It's actually a dialogue, so a two-way conversation called Black, Blue, and You, a dialogue on anti-Blackness and police brutality that'll be hosted by our Center for Diversity and Inclusion. The link to sign up is on our webinar page, and the deadline for that is this Thursday at noon, so we encourage you to check that out. All right, without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to your career services presenters. Thank you.
Andrea, why don't you go first? I've been too eager to, and I've been jumping on everybody's toes there, so you go first.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's good to be speaking with you today. My name is Andrea Carpenter. I go by she, her, hers. I'm the Director of Career and Professional Development with the Kogod Office of Career Engagement. So that's the Career Center inside of the business school.
And hello, everyone. My name is Brian Rowe, pronouns he, him. I'm the Director of Experiential Education in the AU Career Center, which is one of 3 career centers that work with undergraduate students at AU. And we'll get into that little detail in just a few moments. We are curious about who's watching today. So we have a poll to start us off with. So if you could please just indicate which is your AU school. So which is the one that you're most focused on. If you've got more than one, that's okay. Just let us know. We just want to see who we're talking to and where their interest and where their focus is. So if you can go ahead and select that, and we'll give you a few more seconds. Okay, let's see the results of that poll. Let's see, who do we have with us today? All right, look at that breakdown, Andrea. Okay, we've got CAS well represented and Kogod. There you go, Andrea. Got School of Communication, excellent. School of International Service is well represented. Everybody's here. Okay, this is fantastic. All right, thank you for the poll. Oh, okay, great. So as I just mentioned, we have 3 offices that work, they're career services offices at AU. I represent the AU Career Center. AU Career Center works with all students from the School of Public Affairs, College of Arts and Sciences, and School of Education, and as well as SIS, the first 2 years. So first and second year students in SIS work with my office. Andrea, you want to talk a little bit about Kogod?
Sure. And Kogod Office of Career Engagement, we serve our undergraduate and graduate business students. And so on the undergraduate side, that includes both Kogod majors and minors. Part of the development of our center was because of our specific accreditation as a business school, but we work very closely with the Central Career Center.
Right. And then we also have an SIS Office of Career Development. Their focus is 3rd and 4th year students. So transfer students who are coming in as a 3rd year student would work directly with them. And that office also focuses on graduate students. So those are the 3 offices. We work extremely well together. We coordinate extremely well together. There we show very little territoriality, right, Andrea? You know, if ever I have like an econ student who their focus is really very business oriented and there's a specific question or a specific area where Andrea's office can help. That's easy to do. Same thing, Andrea sometimes has business students whose interests lie maybe in government or nonprofits, and then we absolutely share resources. So those three offices work extremely well together. So that's a little bit of the landscape for you. Okay, good news on the next slide. If we could go to the next slide. So AU, as offices, we are very focused on students achieving success career and professionally, both while you're at AU and then afterwards, right? So the May graduation outcomes, we're very focused on, how are students doing while they're here, but also after they graduate. So this is really good news. We look at, okay, 6 months after you graduate, giving people a little time, right? What is the status? What is the update? And this is the number for working, graduate school, or both. Some people are really ambitious. And our knowledge rate, so it's not like we just ask a few people. The knowledge rate for the graduating class cohort is 83%, right? So we've done a great job getting students to respond, kind of researching where they are as well. So this number is very high. If you look at the bottom of this slide, you'll see a web address, american.edu, we know success. You can break that information down. This is sort of an overall undergrad number. You can take a look by school. So if you want to look at the Kogod working grad school or both rate, if you want to look at School of Public Affairs, and then even within the schools, if you'd like to look at individual majors, right? And that number is an aggregate over what, Andrea, the last 3 years, I think, generally. Right?
Correct.
So it's not just it's not just last year, but these are the graduation outcomes, and they're all very strong. So this is really good news, right? This is a very, it shows that AU students, when they graduate, they're going out and they're moving on to bigger and better things. The working rate, I just want to mention working. So if when you take this survey, when we reach out and you respond to us, if you say, well, I'm still looking, right? I'm not doing the work I want to do, we don't count you in that working rate, right, Andrea? That's not
right.
Right. We consider you seeking, and then we engage further with you to help you achieve the position you want. So this is very strong numbers. Andrea, anything to add to that? I mean,
no, I think that covers it. Again, just to reiterate what Brian is saying, we mean working in a job that uses the value of your college degree, that is something that you consider to be aligned with your career goals. So we're very, we recognize that some folks might work an interim job as they're still looking, but we're looking at this in terms of something that's using the value of your degree.
Right. And if we can go to the next slide, we want to talk about how students are able to engage with all of what we do, right? So we use a platform, all the career services offices use a platform called Handshake, okay? So this is the sort of one-stop website that we use for you to schedule your individual appointments with us. If you want to look at some of the workshops we're doing, if you want to look and see employer presentations, if you want to look and see internship offerings, Handshake. Now, as you can see, there are some of the things you do with Handshake. We have already created your Handshake account as new Eagles, right? As new AU students. We've already created those accounts. And I believe, let's see, Andrea, what do we think? Those emails are going out in what, 2 days, I think? I did ask our IT people if they could send that email out during this presentation, and they told me to, rein it in there. That kind of coordination wasn't quite, that wasn't going to happen. But literally in the next 2 days, you should receive a welcome email from Handshake for you to claim your account, right? Because we've created the account, the basics are there for you. You can go in and start populating it. You can list part-time jobs you've had, maybe you've had internships already, volunteer experiences, leadership experiences, some of your interests, right? Please, the more you fill that out, and the more complete your profile is, the better. But this is your gateway to so many of our services. All right. Did I forget something, Andrea?
I don't think so. Just maybe one thing to emphasize is that you really have control over your information. So you can decide whether or not, once you fill out that information, if you want to use your account just to search for jobs and apply. You also have some options of making some of your information visible to employers so that they can actively search for you. But again, you have control over those settings and deciding your recruitment preferences.
Right. So I'd say by Friday morning, if you haven't seen an email from Handshake welcoming you, check the usual places that emails sometimes end up in your account. Again, we've created it for you. So if you still don't see anything by Friday, I would say just reach out to Andrea and I, and we'll help you. So, okay. All right. If we can get the next slide, please. Okay. So one huge thing that all of our offices do is career advising. And this is some of the advisors from our office, from my office, the AU Career Center. We're a big office, so this is, I'd say, most of the advising team, but not all of the advising team. So career advising, what does that look like? So we often get students who come to AU and say, you know what, I'm really curious and interested in these topics, these academic areas. Maybe you've decided, like, this is the major that really has my attention. How does that impact my career future, right? You may actually come in and go, you know what, I like a lot of things and I can't decide. So maybe one of the ways I'll make my decision is in looking at sort of how maybe my top 3 choices could impact career, or sort of the direction of my career. That's fine. Come in, talk to us. We're going to sort of help you, sort of narrow your decision, right? Now, some of you may say, I definitely like this area, but I don't know what to do with it. I don't know where that goes. That's another group of students we're happy to work with in career advising. And then some of you come in and say, this is my major, 100%. This is where I want to be 5 years after graduation or 10 years after graduation. And let's help build that path, right? And students, I think, Andrea, they go from sometimes one of those categories to another one, and then they kind of come back, right? You're gonna, the options you're going to be exposed to as a student at AU, that we're gonna present you with opportunities that you haven't dreamed of, right? So we're going to help you build that path forward, okay? In addition, in career advising, we do obviously, one of the first things you should probably do when you come see us in your first year at AU is resume and cover letter, right? So, you're going to talk about the type of work you might want to do at some level, and then we're going to help you craft and tailor your resume, okay? Again, that job search, the internship search, absolutely. Interviewing, some of you have had some really kind of intense interviews probably, maybe others haven't. We have multiple ways of helping you prep and be the best you can be at interviews. Right now, Andrea and I and the other advisors have had to help people really get used to video interviewing, right? That's something that's been there before, definitely, but obviously lately that's been a much more, a larger deal. So, as well as salary negotiation, right? That's not something anybody really does that frequently, right? It's not like you're negotiating salaries once a week or twice a month or something. So obviously we can help. Andrea, what else? Well, I always forget things, and Andrea always remembers everything. So, Andrea,
I think you did a great job covering this. I think the thing to highlight is, again, we are very student focused and student facing, but we're also frequently speaking with employers, staying on top of employer trends. And so that's how we can help you really be prepared to make sure that you're presenting yourself and thinking through your fit with roles and how to apply.
Absolutely. And you're looking at career advisors here, right? And by the way, I think when our marketing person said, hey, let's do a picture and then let's do a funny picture, I think she sent the funny picture in to do this. But you're seeing career advisors. The Career Center staff also, we have big employer relations teams. So the focus of their job in both Andrea's shop, my shop, the SIS shop, are to build relationships with employers and alumni and really, keep that energy and keep the back and forth going. And one thing, I've been at AU for about 8 years now, right? Originally from New York State, Eastern Long Island, way out at the end there. If there's any New Yorkers or Long Islanders on the line. One of the things I've been so impressed by working at AU is alumni are it is an easy ask to get them to come and help, to provide support, to help students who are here. It's a super easy ask. The community is strong and the willingness to help is very strong. So, yeah. All right, let's do the next slide. Okay, so again, you come in, you may have sort of an ideas. I love working with people, or I don't really like working with people. Ideas are my thing, right? Or I love an environment that's very structured, where I know what next year in April is going to look like. And others are like, no, I want, everything to be new and different, and who knows what tomorrow holds, right? And everything in between. Part of our responsibility with career education is helping you understand your individual interests, your strengths, your skills, and your values when it comes to work and career, right? And so we have what we call self-assessments. These are assessments. There's no right answer, wrong answer. There's no, you did, perfect, you didn't do great. That's not what these are about, but it helps you sort of analyze yourself. And then where's that best fit, right? So folks like Andrea and I love, we love it when we hear someone's like, I love what I'm doing. This is energizing, this is exciting, and I love doing it. And that's that kind of fit that we strive for. Some people learn what we have to teach more in an academic setting. That's a better setting for them. So my office offers 2 career courses, one that focuses on first and second year students, and one that focuses on third and fourth year students, because sort of the priorities can be a little different between those 2 cohorts. And that's a 1-credit course that we run every semester. And that builds and encapsulates a lot of what we do in career advising into an academic format. So again, that's a 1-credit course. Please join us if that's the way, that you can kind of best do that. It's a great way in one semester. We usually meet, I think, 10 or 11 times. That's a really great way to kind of get everything that we do into that. And then again, Andrea, do you want to talk about some of the events and programs we do? I mean, we have to look at our cheat sheet because we do so much.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we have large events such as a huge job and internship fair each fall and spring that brings over 100 employers to connect with students. We also have employers will come and do information sessions about opportunities. We'll do different panels. We do workshops. So again, and I think we speak about this a little bit if we can move on to the next slide as well. Really what we're looking to do, Brian spoke a little bit about helping you understand more about yourself, which is really important, right? What type of environment are you interested in? Who are you? What is going to be important to you, but also helping make that connection with industry, right? So what opportunities are out there? And so to be able to hear from employers, to be able to hear from alums about their experiences and the types of job opportunities out there are really helpful. But again, a lot of industry-focused events that provide you with the opportunity to be able to network with employers and alumni and also hear more about the different types of opportunities that are available.
And if we go to the next slide. So again, Andrea was talking about these events and programs. I mean, we do well over 100 of these. And by the way, given sort of the nature of things right now, being remote, we have been able to do 100% of the things we did before. We keep going, right? American University during the, we all know what sort of March, April, May, June were like, right? For everyone, there was a lot of retooling. There was a lot of going home, kind of setting up everything. We were the only school in the DC area that was able to continue on with a job fair in the spring. Now, some of our wonderful colleagues in the area did, they kind of shifted to a summer job fair. We were able to pull it off in May. We had to delay it a few weeks and do it in May. And we had, I think, 112, Andrea, employers. So doing it virtually. We had over 1,000 students, so again, that AU spirit of we'll adapt, let's do it, right? We're going to be successful. So, networking events, we're totally ready, no matter what the fall holds, no matter what the spring holds. We are going to have these opportunities to connect with the DC community professionally, but then also, again, this allows us to do a lot sort of more broadly. And we plan on having a fall job fair, right? It's going to be remote, it's going to be virtual. And we're going to, we'll see what the spring holds, but you're going to have a job fair in the spring as well. If we could go to the next slide. Okay, so obviously what I was talking about, online resources, our websites are sort of great landing pages for that. You're going to see a lot of resources that you can just access. Some people like to read and sort of take it all in that way first. Absolutely, examples of resumes, virtual interview prep. You can do, we subscribe to something called Big Interview, which will record you answering interview questions. That's all accessible through Handshake, right, Andrea? I think we put it back through Handshake. Once you have access to Handshake, you've got it. But we, everything we possibly can put online, so you can review that, then you can talk to us, absolutely, or whichever order you'd like to do that in. If you could go to the next slide, please. Okay, so we've talked about internships. We've mentioned internships and full-time jobs. That's going to be that bubble there, the blue bubble, full-time jobs and internships. That's going to take you to Handshake, okay? Federal, part-time and federal work-study jobs, there's opportunities to see those online as well. Those are hosted by Human Resources on their website. And then there's neighborhood jobs. Now, neighborhood jobs, not quite sure what that's going to look like, right? It's shifting to virtual, right? You can't virtually mow a lawn or, that sort of thing, or, help somebody kind of go through their memoirs, right? Because, it's DC. But there are also part-time experiences that will be virtual, as well as the federal work study and part-time jobs. So american.edu/student jobs. Okay, that's the one landing page for all these opportunities. And advance to the next slide, please. Right, so federal work study. If your financial aid package contains federal work study, we are having a fair that is right now scheduled for August 12th. Okay, that will be hosted on Handshake. Handshake actually has a job fair component to it, right? So you'll be going there, and then again, you're going to be sent updates, and everybody who has federal work study will receive information on that. And if we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, internships. We've had some great questions submitted previously about internships. So if you look at internships plus other kinds of experiential learning, that may be alternative breaks, right? That may be leadership, really substantial leadership opportunities, really substantial volunteer opportunities. 96% of AU students engage in experiential learning. Now, and often you all do all of those things, right? So we have a really high internship engagement rate. It's over 90%. I think it was 91%. Fluctuates between like 89 and 91%, that sort of thing. But this is absolutely, part of the pillar experience at AU. And we had a great question submitted about virtual internships. So our AU Abroad office has done a great job. We've always had internship opportunities in Madrid, Nairobi, and Brussels. Those are our kind of AU centers abroad, right? That's really been ramped up. So we're seeing quite a few virtual internships internationally at those sites. So that's a fantastic opportunity. whether you want to have an international career or more of a domestic career. And then Andrea, do you want to talk about some of our other virtual?
Yeah, we're certainly seeing a lot of virtual opportunities. One thing that we do want to highlight here is not to feel pressure to immediately start an internship as you're coming on campus. We really recommend for students to be able to get kind of a strong academic footing.
Right. With one exception, Andrea.
Yes, with one exception. So jump in with the exception, Brian.
All right, sure. If you are part of the Washington mentorship program, where students are, they're not really starting at AU until the spring. Those students have a curated internship experience, very sort of supervised and monitored experience in their first semester. But other than that, right, we want you to do other things.
Acclimated.
Right. We did have a question. Oh, let's go on. Let's go on to the next slide. Let's make sure that we get to thank you. Right. Please take down our information. Those are our websites as well. You can see our photos on either side. We've got our direct emails. We had a question really quickly about working with shy or introverted students. First of all, I think a lot of our staff would be considered introverts, right? We have a great range on our teams. And there are absolutely ways that introverted students can engage in networking. You got it, absolutely. There's been books written on that, and we read those books. You know, there are different sort of techniques to use, right? You don't need to go to all the big networking events, which aren't exactly happening this semester anyway. So yeah, I encourage your students, please make an appointment with us in the first semester. They're here just to talk again about their interests and sort of what they're thinking. So, do we have time? Jen, do we have any time for questions?
We do. I know we got started just a few minutes late, and our next webinar is not until 4. So if you, folks that are watching at home, hope you can stay with us for a few more minutes. Some great questions that already were answered. One quick, easy one. Where are the career courses? Like, how are they housed if somebody wanted to look one up?
Oh, what's the code for them? UGST. If you look under UGST courses, that's where the career courses are housed. So that's run through the Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education. That's the UGST code. So I think it's 100, UGST 100 maybe. Yeah.
A lot of questions about the work-study fair. I know we shared some information, but should folks start applying for them now? Just a little more, maybe you all could share about the work-study search.
So I would say I think it's okay to wait until the 12th, honestly. You know, if you're seeing positions posted, sure, take a look at that. But I think usually in the before times, we would do this fair like the first week of school, but we've backed it up, considering the situation. So it's happening even earlier. What I think, if the concern is, am I going to miss all the jobs if I don't apply right now? No, right? There are still a lot of jobs being reconfigured for a virtual or a hybrid, or let's call it super flexible opportunity. So I think there's a lot of work-study jobs that haven't quite been posted yet. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I think for students that are attending virtually, there still would be opportunity to get a work-study position that's fully virtual.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Andrea, a question for you. If someone is transferring into Kogod but maybe isn't quite there yet in their process, where should they be on their journey of either transferring in of Kogod or maybe out of Kogod? When should they start? When should they work with you, and when should they work with SIS or the Career Center?
Yeah, we're happy to still work with them, especially if they're intending to join and have gotten that process started. Like Brian mentioned, we try to offer a lot of flexibility. So especially if you are know that you're going to be focusing more on kind of a business focused career, then you're welcome to start engaging with us.
And by the way, let's say you have a minor in Kogod and you have a major in CAS. You can use both offices all the time, right? So we are happy, you know, if you have, or if you're a Kogod major, but you're minoring in econ, you know, which is a CAS program, or, you know, political science, you're going to work with both offices. We have a super flexible, open attitude about that.
I see a couple of questions, and I think that may be better directed for next week's webinar, but about the DC Reads program. I know the Center for Community Engagement and Service will be talking about that in their session next Monday. But if either of you had anything else to add about volunteering, that may count as work study, or should students hold off on those questions until next week?
So as Andrea, you know, highlighted, you know, our goal is not, outside the Washington Mentorship Program, you know, is not, hey, you get here, hey, start doing internships, right? You know, again, there's part of the culture at AU to do experiential learning, things like internships, and it's the culture of DC, by the way, right, too. So, but, you know, I would tell a student in their first year, no, don't worry about internships, but do look at things like, you know, join a club. You know, kind of get situated. There's governance, you know, there are different opportunities to be part of the AU community. Things like volunteering, you know, good leadership stuff. That looks amazing on your resume when you're ready to start looking for internships. So, you know, work with your career advisors to, make sure that that's demonstrating skills, right? That's what an employer looks for, especially for an intern. They don't expect you to have 10 years of work experience. You know, you didn't start working when you were 8, so that's not realistic. So, you know, but they look for some skills that they're going to help you build, right? So definitely come see us.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So a question came through: if a student's never held a job before, would they still be able to find a job at AU? And I think, Brian, really, you mentioned, you know, you've had hopefully involvement and leadership and all of that. So go see the Career Center to make sure you're highlighting that on your resume, because I'm certain if you are an AU student, you have a robust resume and may not realize it.
Oh my gosh. So again, what we often do is we see a resume that I would call an academic style, right? You know, maybe the resume you use to apply to AU, and, you know, we're going to transform that into a more of a professional style. And usually it's, let's pick out, whoa, you did all these things, right? Academically, volunteer, leadership. We're going to pull those out. We're going to build them out. And we're going to reflect the skills that you absolutely developed in those experiences. So don't sweat it if you haven't had an internship or a part-time job. You've done other things.
Last question, I think it's an easy one, but somebody asked, you know, how am I going to find out about all the events that are happening? I'm imagining there's some robust social media and other places for people to go as well. So last thoughts on how you'll know the dates of all these cool events.
Absolutely. So what do you think? Do you think Handshake might have that, Andrea? I think Handshake's going to do it.
Maybe Handshake.
My office has a good Instagram account. You know, we highlight things there. Even the career advising teams, some of them have Instagram accounts that really focus on internships when you're ready, right? So yeah, yeah, I would start with our website, right? If you Google American University Career Center, that's a great place to see, and you'll see like everything we're doing. You'll see highlights. Oh, we're doing workshops all summer too. If you want to pop in and take a look at those on different topics, you're more than welcome. You're part of this community now, so please come in and start engaging with us. We are.
Oh, sorry to cut you off, Brian. I was going to say we also just really encourage you, be reading your email. That's going to be where a lot of your official communication comes through, both from the university and from us. You know, part of what we do is helping you train for when you are being employed is to be keeping on top of that email. So in addition to the social media, in addition to being able to check into Handshake directly to find opportunities, our offices will often send out really nice digest summary emails about upcoming events and employment opportunities. So make sure that you're keeping on top of those as well.
Well, that's a fabulous note to end on. Thank you so much, Brian and Andrea, for your time with us today. If we didn't get to your question, we'll be sure to share it with the presenters. And thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much, everybody. We can't wait. Thank you.
Thanks all.